Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the grand finale, episode 7 review of the Book of Boba Fett. Now, I'm going to review it very briefly with non-spoilers, and then I'm going to go into spoilers. So, non-spoiler review. I enjoyed this. I was whooping and hollering a good few times, so clearly that's the sign of someone invested. I had smiles on my face. I was like, yes! Shouting at the TV and all this kind of stuff. So I had a really good time with it. I also think the visual effects were like pretty top notch in this episode. Some of it wasn't so good. There were some droids which, because they're using the same effects as the prequels, looked similar-ish to the prequels, which obviously gives you a bad taste in your mouth because the CGI wasn't that great in the prequels. But I understand why they did it, so I'm not hating on it. It's just an aesthetic choice, but just thought I'd point that out. Everything was really good. From my perspective, to me it solidifies the video which I did where I said the Book of Boba Fett has a marketing problem. Now, writing to one side, because a lot of people don't like the writing, I get that. But if Disney had marketed it as, you know, a story told within like an anthology of an interconnected universe where it's not the Book of Boba Fett, i.e. he's not the main character, I think the marketing side of things would have set people's expectations for, you know, different characters to come in episodes to be different focuses. Because most of the complaints that I've seen on Twitter outside of the writing has always been, oh, he's not in this episode, oh, he doesn't say much. And it's like, yeah, that's fine, but again, it's very clearly like this interconnected world. So I think this episode kind of solidified that to me as well, which I think is good, and it also sets up some good stuff for the future. I think it rounded out a lot of the things which were set up quite nicely. Some of it quite cliche, but you were expecting it. And I wouldn't even say cliche. Some people are going to hate on it, is my point. A lot of the stuff which they set up has been paid off, and I got to respect people for actually doing, like, paying off what they set up. Because goddamn, we've had years of, I'm just subverting your expectations, bro. I mean, that was The Last Jedi, wasn't it? Subverting your expectations. No, you're just dipshit. So I like the fact that they didn't subvert expectations and actually gave you what you expected, right? I think that was pretty decent. Anyway, let's go full spoilers. Full spoiler review. Give you some more time to click off the video if you're racing around. There you go, right, done. Let's talk full spoilers. So, this was just one big fight episode. Everyone's having a big fight. Well, it's not a war. They called it the war with the Pike Syndicate. It's not a war. It's barely a battle. It's a skirmish. And what I mean by that is if you're talking about wars in the Star Wars universe, you know, you think of droids, the droid army in the prequels, hundreds, thousands. That's a war. All right, that's a battle. This was like a handful, like 20 people. Wasn't much. 20 people, 2 droids. Sure, all right then. It's not a war, is it? It's barely a battle. It's more like a skirmish. But the whole episode is this. Now, I want to just talk about each and every little bit of Easter eggs and stuff which is sort of thrown in there, rather than go plot point by plot point, because it is just a big war. That's it. So a few things that I liked, a few things that I didn't. Right. Let's start off, because I've given this a lot of praise. Let's talk about what I didn't like. Those mods, when they just, like, quickly race in on their little Vespa bikes. We know that they don't go fast, and it's still framed like they're going fast. Stop it. It's embarrassing. They look shit. Like, it looks real bad. Okay? Especially because the camera's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But we can see them just going, you know, what are you doing? Awful way to frame it, because you know that they're slow. I thought that was real bad. Them as a gang, I felt were a bit useless in this final episode. They were sort of like in one area just spotting, and then they got shot at, and then Fennec comes and saves them. Bit useless. Outside of that, though, oh, and also they are literally the only reason that Boba Fett, Fennec Shan and the Mandalorian make their stand at the blown up sanctuary, that biker gang, because they're like, we're not going to leave our city. And he's like, us there as well then. It's like, oh, God. Wouldn't it have been cool to have done this big final fight at Jabba's palace? That would have been epic. But still, fine. It humanises Boba Fett a little bit more, which is obviously the intention of the series. Okay, that is the intention. Cad Bane makes another appearance, twice actually. So he comes in to do some negotiation with Boba Fett. In that negotiation, and in the subsequent follow-up, when he, almost goes to kill Boba Fett, I've given you spoiler warning. Sue yourself if you don't like it. In that interaction, it is all but confirmed that Cad Bane gave him the ding on the helmet, which has been stated before in like the wider universe and things like that, but this basically puts it into canon straight away, and for everyone else to know that's what it is. It's subtle, but it's there, and I thought that was really cool. Cad Bane's clearly not dead, because when they have their second interaction, after Boba Fett rides in on a Rancor. That's right, he rides in on a Rancor, which we'll get to in a minute. It was actually really cool, and this is the setting up of expectations and actually paying it off, which I'm talking about. So, he rides in on a Rancor. Cad Bane does flamethrower wrist at the Rancor, which pushes the Rancor pushes Boba Fett off, and then just the Rancor just walks off. I feel like that's a bit of a shame. I feel like the Rancor could have stayed because it had imprinted on Boba Fett, so I feel like that was a bit crap of it, but never mind. Is what it is. Cad Bane's interaction with Boba Fett there, saying, you're a killer, you're this, you're that, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes to kill him. He goes to kill Boba Fett, but Boba Fett uses the gaffy stick and knocks Cad Bane down and does stab him. But there's still a blinker on Cad Bane's chest going off, so he's clearly not dead. He's not dead, don't worry about it. Outside of that, the townsfolk come in. Newtown, Cobb Vanth, his town, they come in. He's not okay, but they all come in, start saving the day, helping people out. That was really good. I liked that. Heavily overused jetpacks in this episode, which they hadn't used at all before. Well, Boba Fett hadn't really before this episode. I thought that was a bit surprising because he could have used it a lot, seemingly, but he didn't. So it makes me think, okay, sure, fine. Black Chrysanthemum, there's an interesting continuity issue with this character. He was badass in this. He was going mental on everyone. Really, really cool. But then he comes in after having, really, really gone ham and had a really hard fight. And he's limping. He's dragging his leg across the floor. So much so that people have to come and save him. But still really good. And then in the next scene, 2 scenes, he's running. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing? Come on. It's just that's a sloppy continuity error. I understand why they did it. Because they couldn't have this character be down for the count for that long. But we're talking like dragging his foot behind him. He was absolutely wrecked. And you don't get over something like that. But he was really, really hard done by in this episode. But it goes to show the durability of a Wookiee, which I really appreciated. It really goes to show that durability factor. Outside of that, Grogu lands, comes in, R2-D2, pilots the X-Wing, and brings Grogu to Tatooine. Grogu's wearing the chainmail. That was really cool, the Beskar chainmail. And Grogu does help quite a lot. He calms the Rancor down. Because the Rancor is got by Boba Fett. He goes to get the Rancor because 2 droids come in. The Pike Syndicate's controlling droids. Which are pretty cool. They're cool droids. I'm sure they're in a game or something like that. But they have the force field, which is very similar to the prequel stuff. Hence why it looks a little bit shit. But it's an aesthetic choice. I get it. And anyway, so the Rancor's... all hell's breaking loose with the Rancor. Mando tries to control it. Tries to calm it down, and then little baby Grogu just walks out and goes, puts it to sleep, and then falls asleep next to it, and I'm like, it's cute, cool, gotta love Grogu. And then not a whole lot else happens really. So the biker gang are completely useless. I know there's people screaming at the TV now going, you missed this. Alright, calm down. Calm down. The things which I missed, you can just talk about in the comment section. But that really is it. Fennec Shan goes off and murders the leader of the Pike Syndicate, the mayor, all that good stuff. There's other little things which I feel were kind of inconsequential. That's why I don't really. There's no major point to bring them up. The interaction with Mando and Grogu was very heartfelt. I missed you, you know, little buddy, all this kind of stuff. That was really cool. And then the other kind of stuff, realistically, like the closing scene is very much, you know, setting up Mando season 3. Mando's in the Naboo starfighter. Grogu's obviously in what was the droid bay. That was a given that was going to happen. It's pretty obvious. And he's banging on the glass, and Mando's like, no. Okay, fine, one more time. And what Grogu wants him to do is obviously go into that light speed, you know, and he's like, woo! And that was just cute as hell. Like, it just sets it up. Super cute, super nice, very, very, just lovely to see. And then Boba Fett's just the ruler of Tatooine now, basically. That's it. No more spice runs, nothing like that. He's the ruler of Tatooine. Cobb Vanth is in the Bacta tank at the end. Black Chrysanthemum's fine at the end. The biker gang's there at the end, and it's basically setting up. They now rule Tatooine as a group, it would seem. And then the Hutt twins were nowhere to be found either. So they literally have just left. I'd like to think they would come back because they left because of the Pikes. I'd like to think they'd come back now because the Pikes are gone. But that was really it. There was another thing which I think was a bit of a letdown. So Mando used the Darksaber, tried to use the Darksaber on the droids to get through their shield. Couldn't do that. But he's really useless with the Darksaber. Like, we're talking really useless. So he chopped one of the gunning arms off. Didn't cut the leg off or anything like that. He's just so bloody useless. And then gets like knocked around way too much. And you're just like, seriously, come on. But all in all, I enjoyed it. Like, I think this is a good show. I just think, yeah, some of the writing's been a bit off here and there. There was some dodgy dialogue. But the thing is if the majority of the show I enjoy and I'm like, yep, cool, I'm behind this, you sort of forget everything else. You really do. The Rancor was great. It wasn't, you know, that was like to see a Rancor really actually going out and about, you know, ripping people apart. Really good. Like he ate a Pike Syndicate gunman. Like, it's good. Like, the stuff was really good. So anyway, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Love to hear it. Did this live up to your expectations? Did it not? I hazard a guess it didn't. And in my eyes as well, I've got to say, no, it didn't live up to my expectations either. You know, I did expect Boba Fett to be more of a badass. He wasn't. It's very clear to me. And I've praised the show, by the way, so everyone butthurt that I'm now being objective. Fuck yourself. You know, it's very clear to me that they made the Mandalorian Boba Fett, right? And then they had to rework Boba Fett. It's very clear. You know, someone that doesn't talk very much. Boba Fett never talked very much. Now he's bloody reeling off Shakespeare. He's not, but you get my point. You know, Mandalorian's a badass. Boba Fett's not. So there's all these kind of things. Like, it's very clear that they were trying to create, you know, a Boba Fett-like character with Mandalorian, and then they were like, "Oh crap, we now need to use Boba Fett. How are we going to do that? Oh, we need to make him the complete opposite of what he was." So it didn't live up to my expectations, but on a whole, I still enjoyed it. So let me know what you guys thought though down below. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Take care.